life naturally makes some sense. Home is the center of the world because it's like a cross. There's a vertical line and there's a horizontal line. And along those two lines come the following. I mean, the horizontal line is all the roads leading out of the village from that center across to other places and finally to all over the world. It's the way you get to that home on the surface of the earth. And then there is the vertical line, and that is where the dead and maybe the unborn go up and down between earth and heaven. And when they cross like that, that is a place which is really home. Because the dead and your ancestors are there in the cemetery. The children who are married and will have little children will perhaps still be there. And then there is all the traffic of the world. And when you live in a situation like that, the question of answering why are we here, the question of finding sense, is much easier to answer. But in how many places in the world is that now true? Either large cities or villages. In fact, very few. The point about center is it's where life naturally makes some sense. Home is the center of the world because it's like a cross. There's a vertical line and there's a horizontal line. And along those two lines come the following. I mean, the horizontal line is all the roads leading out from the village, from that center across to other places and finally to all over the world. It's the way you get to that home on the surface of the earth. And then there is the vertical line, and that is where the dead and maybe the unborn go up and down between earth and heaven. And when they cross like that, that is a place which is really home. Because the dead and your ancestors are there in the cemetery. The children who are married and will have little children will perhaps still be there. And then there is all the traffic of the world. And when you live in a situation like that, the question of answering why are we here, the question of finding sense, is much easier to answer. But in how many places of the world is that now true? Either large cities or villages. In fact, in very few.
Just push your cases underneath it. I'll keep them on your lap, just you can move down there, that's fine. Thanks.
This book concerns a dream.
This book concerns a nightmare.
The existence of the migrant worker.
In a dream, the dreamer wills, acts, reacts, speaks, yet submits to the unfolding of a story in which they are scarcely influential.
The dream happens to them.
This book consists of images and words.
Its theme is unfreedom.
The pictures make a statement which is equal to but different from a text.
The book is written in 1973-74. Capitalism faces its first crisis since the Second World War.
Yet Western Europe's continued dependence on millions of migrant workers, even during such a crisis, shows that the economic system can no longer exist without migrant labour.
Migration is like an event in a dream dreamt by another.
A friend came to see me in a dream from far away. And I asked in the dream, did you come by photograph or by train? All photographs are a form of transport and an expression of absence.
The migrant takes with them their own resolution, their own pride. The photograph in their pocket. Their packages, their suitcases. They look for the photo among overhandled papers stuffed in their jacket.
The photo defines an absence.
Nothing has prepared them for this situation. It is unprecedented, and yet it is already normal.
The migrants devised a system to protect themselves. Before leaving, they had photographs taken.
They tore the photograph in half, giving one half to their guide and keeping the other themselves.
When they reached their destination, they sent their half of the photograph back to their family to show that they had been safely escorted across the frontier.
The guide came to the family with his half of the photograph to prove that it was he who had escorted them. It was only then that the family paid.
Mostly, they travelled by night.
Hidden in lorries.
You want to earn as quickly as possible.
You take the jobs nobody else will.
So you are inclined to work overtime.
You are divided
Exceed production norms.
by a language barrier.
Take a second part-time job.
You cannot get promotion.
Many of you have
You're always liable to victimization.
illegally
You are the first to be made redundant.
resorted to private deals with your employers.
You perform many of the most dangerous jobs and have fewer insurance benefits.
You tend to mistrust all officials and all organisations.
You have no proper life, only work. No proper living conditions, only working conditions.
And this may threaten the bargaining power of the local working class.
This means that you are the most exploited of all.
Those who have left and succeeded in the city and come back are heroes.
You talk with them.
You are taken aside as though they are inviting you into a conspiracy.
They hint that there are secrets which can only be discussed with those who have also been there.
What is not secret are the wages.
The things to be bought.
The amount that can be saved.
The variety of cars.
What there is to eat and drink.
The hours worked.
The arguments won.
The intelligence you need.
You visualise yourself entering their conspiracy.
Then you will learn their secrets.
And you will come back having achieved even more.
For you are capable of working harder,
Being smarter.
saving more quickly than any of them.
Then, one day, you say, you will leave.
Until you said it, the decision was not really taken.
When you said it, it was known.
Until you said it, it was not decided.
At the station, you jump down from the cart and say your last goodbyes. The station, wooden huts beside a large open space of mud and grass, is crowded. Those waiting sit or lie. Others prepare to leave.
The place is crowded with the litter of the hours spent there. In the air, a kind of residual cloud of sound, made up of words explaining or recounting journeys. There are families on the move from town to town, village to village. There are men coming home. There are soldiers. There are other migrants like you.
You sit beside your suitcases and your packages that are tied together tightly with string. The packages contain what would not fit into your case. Afterthoughts and last-minute presents. Each object is carefully folded up in cloth.
In one of the packages and stuffed down in the corner of your suitcase is the food you've brought. You think of it, the hard sausage to be sliced with a knife, the crumbling cheese, while the countryside and towns pass by the window.
The need to eat is not an expression of hunger. Food is also a kind of message. To eat it is to receive a message. But sent by whom? From where?
At this moment, the answer is simple. You begin to eat before you are hungry. Some eat as much as they can, others try to space out the messages from the past throughout the long journey.
Arriving alone, the shock of your new life is immediate. The silence is yours. Whatever they're saying, you, with those silent sounds in your head, are going to nod.
You trail through halls higher than trees. You form a single file to go up an escalator. An official shouts when a suitcase scrapes against the side. You file down corridors, through glass doors, past metal bars.
You realise how dishevelled you have become in comparison to the strangers who are dealing with you. But equally, this is a reminder of your achievement. You have crossed the frontier. You are here.
You strip and line up with hundreds of migrants. You glance hastily at the implements and machines being used to examine everyone, also hastily at one another. Each of you trying to compare your chances with those around you. Nothing has prepared you for this situation. It is unprecedented, and yet it is already normal.
The humiliating demand to be naked before strangers. The incomprehensible language spoken by the officials in command. The meaning of the tests. The numerals written on your body in felt pen. The rigid geometry of the room. The smell of an unknown liquid medicine. The silence of so many like you.
The fit are being sorted from the unfit. 1 in 5 will fail. Those who pass will enter a new life. The machines are examining what is invisible inside your body. When the medical tests are finished, there are tests of skill to qualify for the job.
Show how strong you are.
A friend had advised.
Answer slowly and show how strong you are.
Some sit to wait for the results. Others pace. Here, you await your new life.
In the main building of the barracks, there is a washroom with 7 hot water taps, 17 cold water taps, 5 lavatories and 5 showers. You sleep 4 to a room. The room measures 4 meters by 5.5 meters. The walls and the ceiling are made of wood. The heating is adequate in the winter.
Apart from the cramped space, the main inconvenience is noise. And this is made worse by the fact that each shift gets up and goes to bed at different hours. Voices and footsteps sound very loud, even from the next room.
Each occupant in a room has a bed, a small metal wardrobe with a locked suitcase on the top of it, 2 small shelves, and the walls around you and the ceiling above you, and your corner, where you pin up your pictures.
One of the walls of the corner where your bed is leads to a door. The door opens onto a passage. At the end of the passage are the taps to wash under and the place you can shit in. And the wet floor of this place leads to the way out. Down the stairs, into the street, along the walls of the buildings on one side and the wall of traffic on the other. Past the railings, under the glass and artificial light to the work you do.
That floor to clean, that hole to punch, that ingot to lift, that casing to beat, that gearbox to fit in. The job done, an identical or almost identical job takes its place. The same job but a different floor, a different hole, a different ingot, a different casing, a different gearbox. They must be different because you've just done the job and now you have to do it again. And after that, again and again. That floor to clean, that hole to punch, that ingot to lift, that casing to beat, that gearbox to fit in. The job done, an identical or almost identical job takes its place. The same job but a different floor, a different hole, a different ingot, a different casing, a different gearbox. They must be different because you've just done the job and now you have to do it again. And after that again and again. They must be different, and they look the same. They are joined one to another across the city in which everything is joined, in which everything is continuous, beginning from the wall in the corner of the room where your bed is. Everything is part of the same thing. At one bit you work, along another bit you walk, at another bit you sleep, at another bit you eat. All the bits are part of the same thing which you are now in, and which, if you make a wrong movement or a false step, you will be crushed!
There is just enough place in it for you to do what you are told to do, but there is no room for anything else, except in your bed, to sleep.
For most of you in the barracks, time off is time wasted. You use the little time you have to sleep, to wash your clothes, write letters. Your room, with your bed in it, is the centre of your leisure. From those in other rooms, well, they drop in and talk and listen. During the silences, you return home. Often, one of you has a portable gramophone and you put records on that you bought back home. Sometimes you sing, or you play cards, or dominoes. Much of the time, though sitting together, you withdraw into personal memories.
In certain barracks, the suitcases that you brought have been forbidden by the authorities because they make the room untidy. You've strongly resisted this, sometimes to the point of going on strike. In these suitcases you keep personal possessions. Not the clothes you put in your wardrobes, not the photographs you pin to the wall, but articles which are your talismans. Each suitcase, locked or tied around with cord, is like your memory. You defend your right to keep your suitcase, your right to your memory.
Migrant workers living in the city visit the railway station. You talk in groups, watch the trains come in, receive first-hand news from your country, and anticipate the day when you will begin your return journey.
In your imagination, every migrant worker is in transit. You remember the past, you anticipate the future. Your aims and your recollections make your thoughts a train between the two.
You are listening to the noise of the train in the throat of the journey. The noise is as regular as the lines. Rising to crescendos and falling away are the noises of what the train is passing. The fields murmur, brick walls pound fists on metal. A station throws gravel against the windows. The terminus arrives in silence.
Packages and suitcases are handed out through the windows to those who have already got down onto the platform. The train empties. The station extends over you and around you. Everything, except those getting their baggage out of the train, appears to be ordered and in its place. Everything, except you.
The migrant is in several other ways an ideal worker.
Capitalism requires an ever-increasing accumulation of capital.
This demands an ever-increasing productivity.
But the market doesn't always respond directly to production.
Hence the cycle of recession and expansion.
There must be a labour reserve which can be laid off during recessions and brought in when the economy is expanding.
If a large part of the labour reserve is made up of migrant workers, they can be imported when needed and exported,
Sent home.
without any political repercussions.
Every time you go to work, you are subject to 3 calculations, 2 of which are made by others and 1 you make yourself.
First calculation made by others. Migrant workers fill a labour shortage in a specially convenient way.
You accept the wages offered and you slow down wage increases in general. You are eager to work overtime, you are willing to do shift work at night.
Second calculation made by others. Most migrant workers are not politically conscious of their exploitation.
You arrive politically innocent, without any proletarian experience. You pay taxes, but you do not draw many benefits during your temporary residence. Your cost to the system can be kept to a minimum.
Third calculation made by you. You will save enough soon enough.
Your partner remains faithful to you. You can arrange that some of your family can join you. Once you have set yourself up at home, you will never have to return here. Your health holds out.
Workers were killed. The third had both their legs smashed. The fourth had their spine seriously damaged. The fifth lost his hearing because of an explosion.
The immediate causes of accidents are lack of space, poor lighting, the difficulty of hearing due to noise levels, problems of language, fatigue, impatience, and carelessness with machine controls.
Working with machines is more unhealthy because of the high dust content in the air. Masks are available, but the strenuousness of the work means that wearing them with a reduced oxygen intake makes your heart race. One of your recurring fears examination, they will show you a shadow on your lung.
The only present reality for you is work, and the fatigue that follows it. As soon as you stop working, you are haunted. Leisure becomes alien to you because it forces you to remember how far away you are from everything that you still believe to be your real life. The migrant must sell their life in order to live.
You've not yet eaten, and you're not yet ready to go to bed. So you sit round a table in the centre of the room with a single window high up on one wall. The window has no curtains and it's too high up to look out of. It is hot in the room and the window is open. Through it comes the noise of the evening traffic. You have been working in the docks, cleaning out the holds of ships being refitted. Your friend complains of a pain in their shoulder. They complain most nights. There is a silence which lasts for nearly 10 minutes.
The eldest amongst you looks at their watch and announces that it's time for your drink. You go out to prepare it. On the gas stove at the end of the passage, next to the lavatory, you empty the milk into a saucepan. You take the glasses out of the gas stove. Each glass has a golden emblem of the silhouette of your capital city printed on it. You watch carefully in case the milk boils. Before you pour the milk, you put a spoon in each glass to prevent it cracking from the heat. Then, with the glasses on a copper-coloured tray, you return to the room and place one before each person.
Meanwhile, the eldest has placed an embossed silver-coloured sugar bowl in the centre of the table. The bowl is passed around and each of you adds 2 or 3 spoonfuls of sugar to your milk. You stir your glasses and smell the milk appreciatively before drinking it. You all sip the sweet milk slowly, and then you begin to talk. The eldest starts to talk about their mother. The rest of you, in turn, start to talk about yours.
Your mother had approved of your decision.
It was a family matter, and the family was going to benefit.
But she hated the abroad where you were going, and when it came to you walking out of the house, she remembered how you were born there, in the same room upstairs where she, her husband and her daughter still sleep.
There were 2 neighbours attending to her, no doctor. They gave you to her, and when she put you to her breast, you stopped crying.
At the point of your departure, the 2 moments came together. She put her hands to either side of her head, rocking slightly on her feet, and it is as if she was holding in each ear the sounds of the years which had separated the 2 moments.
Very large, the city.
It is very large, and to reach it takes 3 days and 3 nights.
We still go and watch the train from the river. It passes every evening while we're swimming there. We wave and the ones in the windows wave back. Did you come by that train?
Yes, but it does not stop there.
It often stops on the bend.
Not always.
You could jump down.
And supposing it didn't stop and the signals were not red, you have much to learn. There are papers which tell where the trains stop and at which time. At the station there are more than 100 rails which come together. They cover ground wider than the space between the cemetery and the tower.
Does everybody have a car?
The cars are so close together in the street that it's like a river of many colours. The cars are the colours of all the fruits in the world.
What colour will be the one that you buy?
The colour's not important. What matters is how long the engine lasts.
Do they drive fast?
Not as fast as us. You know how we say of a man that he comes back before he goes? Well, they're like that in their cars. They go in circles, round and round. You see the same person in the same car in almost the same place 4 times in the same day. They have nowhere to go.
If I left like you,
How strong are you?
Well, look at me.
Not only in your arms and back, here too.
Yeah, in my neck, yes.
In the bottom of your stomach.
Like an ox.
They have tests to prove how strong you are. Several doctors look at you in every way. If you pass these tests, you can say you are really strong. Just as if your uncle buys a ram, it will not be a sick one.
Well, there aren't people ill there.
Very few amongst us. They have hospitals as large as the rail yards.
How would I find work there?
For the strong, there are always jobs. There is no need ever to stop working. There is so much work.
Do you watch the football?
You could watch every match, but it's better to work at night because the night pays even more than the day.
The stars more than the sun.
The lighting there makes the night like day, but the night pays more. All over the world it is the same and different.
When did you buy this? It honours you. Anybody seeing you wearing this will say this is a man who has come back from the abroad with what he went to find. How much did you earn there?
It is too soon to tell you that, but I will tell you that I earn more than the tax collector.
Let me go back with you when you go.
It cannot be decided between you and me.
All the family will agree with whatever you say now that you've come back. You only have to say the word. Tell them that I should come. Tell them.
Vrati kući. Čim prije, tim bolje. Vidite, meni je život potrebno. Ja ništa ne radim. Šta da ja radim sa stvarno kod mene? Ne mogu ih nositi od posla do posla. Dok drugačije, da ja mislim ovdje ostati, mislim ovdje živjeti. Ja ću uvijek izabrati život kući u mojoj zemlji. Jednog dana će biti bolje kuće nego ovdje i kad se vratim, moći ću da radim za sebe, moći ću da napravim sebi kuću. A to će biti rana zemlja. Da su samo plate malo veće kuće, da bi nikad niko išao nam da radi.
To go home? Of course, as soon as I can. You see, I live out of a suitcase. I buy nothing. What would I do with the things I bought? You can't cart them from lodging to lodging. It would be different if I was going to stay, if we were going to settle. But I could never do that. I'd always choose the life at home, in my country. One day it'll be better at home than abroad. And when I go back there, I'll be able to work for myself. And I'll build myself a house. It'll be a kind of paradise. If only the wages at home were a little more, nobody would leave and go abroad. This side will come out first, please. Thank
I feel like I'm going home now.
Thank you. You're great.
Thank you for coming.